Okay, so our presentation is on Starman by John Carpenter. This film was released in 1984. John Carpenter, his famous films that he directed included The Thing, Escape from New York, Halloween, and Assault on Precinct 13. Personally, the only film that I've known of from him is The Thing. I've looked at all of his other films and I have never seen them or never heard of them before. But he seems to direct generally horror and science fiction films. His most used film technique is point of view shots. He's used this, I know he's used it at least once in Starman, whenever you have the point of view of the alien going into Jenny's house from the starship. And the only awards that I could find that he won for this or was nominated for Starman was a Saturn Award. He was only nominated, he didn't end up winning it. Okay, and here's the cast for the film. There are numerous cast members. I've only put the ones that actually starred in the film. So the first one, we have Jeff Bridges as Starman, or Scott Hayden. He was nominated for an Oscar and a Saturn Award, but he did not win it. And he is also best known for appearing in Tron Legacy, Iron Man, and The Fisher King. He also holds a Screen Actors Guild Award, 2 Golden Globe Awards, and an Academy Award. And he appears in Starman as Starman and Scott Hayden. And he is an alien that is visiting from Earth pursuant to an invitation from us. Karen Allen appears in Starman as Jenny Hayden. She was nominated for her appearance in Starman for the Saturn Award, but she didn't win. And she's best known for her appearances in Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. She plays a recent widow who is approached by Starman, and she's elected by Starman to help him get back to his home planet safely. Charles Smith as Mark Sherman. Charles Smith is best known for his appearances in several films, including Deep Impact and Speechless. And he plays a SETI, or a Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence researcher, who is recruited by the United States federal government to aid in the search for Starman and to figure out Starman's origins. Then we have Richard Jackal as George Fox. He is best known for his appearance in Mako, The Jaws of Death, Black Moon Rising, and Delta Force 2, The Columbine Connection. Him and Charles Smith are actually 2 actors that have starred in Starman that I've not been able to find much information on. And in Starman, he plays the director of the National Security Agency, and he is tasked with conducting the operation to capture the Starman in order to perform experimental surgical procedures on the alien. So here's the plot. Move that out of the way so I can see that. Okay, Starman is basically an extraterrestrial being from another galaxy that comes to visit Earth after an invitation that we sent out via Voyager 2. Voyager 2 was actually a real, spacecraft that we sent out in the 1970s that had a gold-plated disc with greetings spoken in all the different languages of the world, and kind of give a extraterrestrial being information about Earth in case that they wanted to visit. So they took the invitation, this planet did, and they sent Starman to Earth to see what was up. And upon entry into Earth's atmosphere, his spacecraft is immediately shot down, basically. He was not greeted at all. Hostile, just completely hostile from us. He's shot down from the United States government and crashes in a rural area in Wisconsin. The alien then goes from the spacecraft to Jenny's house, where he rumbles through photographs and looks at the recording of Jenny's late husband. And then he uses DNA from the hair of Jenny's dead husband to create a body for himself while she watches. I thought that was a little creepy myself. The whole scene was extremely creepy, which I guess goes into his whole horror aspect. I feel like he kind of took the horror aspect from different films into this because this was sci-fi. So that was very creepy. And she is mostly afraid of him, obviously, in the beginning of the film. However, the two end up slowly falling in love with each other, and this also adds to the theme of the film, which is love, and the genre, which is sci-fi. So it's like a sci-fi romantic kind of film. And the film mostly follows the two curtailing obstacles as they find their way to the aliens' rendezvous point, where he will return back to his planet. And during this journey, Starman impregnates Jenny with the baby that will not only technically be Scott's son, but Starman's son as well. And somehow he will retain all of Starman's knowledge. And the two common themes that we see in this movie are love and a deep distrust of government. So the setting for this film is in Wisconsin. They end up in Las Vegas, Nevada, and then finally Winslow, Arizona. And most of the film is shot, most of like the movie, the setting itself is shot along the Interstate 40 and Interstate 35 corridors as they visit different places on their journey. I actually looked up the mileage of how long it would take to get there, and it looks like they're mostly on I-40 for their entire route, which is why I chose it. So yeah. And then here's several interesting facts. This one right here, the top one, is the most interesting fact that I've been able to come with. The composer for this film is also the composer for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and the plots of E.T. Extraterrestrial, I haven't seen that, but I've heard of it, and Starman are apparently extremely similar. And Starman is intended for more mature audiences, and they ended up going with E.T., which used to be called, the name of it, I think it was Night Skies, ended up being renamed to E.T. and was given out by Disney for, like children and stuff like that. And Starman was also released 7 years after the launch of Voyager 2. And the crater scene that we see at the end of the movie, where the rendezvous point is, was actually shot at the crater in Arizona. So the real life counterpart of the crater that we see in the film, it was actually shot at the real scene. But the rest of the scenes were shot in several parts of Arizona, Utah, and Tennessee. And then here are my questions.
Very good, Matt. I didn't know that the composer did Cuckoo's Nest as well.
That was kind of interesting.
Yeah. I thought to myself, that name sounds familiar, but I couldn't quite place it. You put two and two together for me there.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, I'll speak to real quick to John Carpenter. I'm a big John Carpenter fan. Like I enjoy almost all of his work. Of course, he did the original Halloween. You said you've seen The Thing. Oftentimes I'll do The Thing in this class as well.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. I don't watch a lot of movies. I just watch like mostly TV series. This is like the first movie like this class is the first time that I've ever watched movies in years.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very well known for that. Yeah, of course, he was very popular in the late 70s and then the 80s. However, a lot of his movies came about with bad luck at the box office.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, you mentioned E.T. The Thing actually came out the same year as E.T. And at the time, like, did somebody want to see? Of course, at the time, America was kind of going through this more optimistic phase again, right? Because whether you love them or hate them, Reagan sort of instigated a sort of renewed sense of optimism in the early 80s. So like
well, I kind of read, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I kind of read that like Ghostbusters and this film kind of came out the same. I read that somewhere.
Ghostbusters came out around the same time as this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Ghostbusters probably cleaned up at the box office over this too. Um,
I
yeah,
read that E.T. kind of just stole the scene from Starman.
yeah. At the time, like, did somebody want to see like this apocalyptic horror movie, or did they want to see a cute alien make buddies with a kid?
Mhm.
Right. So, you can kind of see what won out there. But Carpenter, um, he stopped making movies in the late '90s. He's since retired, but he sort of made a comeback recently. If you guys have watched the newest Halloween films,
Isn't he
uh,
working on the ward or something? I forget the name of it.
yeah, he did do that movie, and that movie was pretty terrible. Yeah, I didn't care for that one, but yeah, he's made a comeback recently doing those new Halloween films. He's not directing them, but I think he's producing, and he did the soundtrack for them. This is one of the very few films that John Carpenter doesn't do the soundtrack for his own movie. Most of the time, he does his own scores as well as directing. So, yeah, I actually saw him do a concert once in Pittsburgh of all of his movie themes that he's done over the years,
Mhm.
which was really cool.
I wonder why he chose to have a composer do this instead of him doing it himself.
Sometimes he didn't. Like, I think this one and the theme are the only two times where he didn't do his own music. Um, maybe it was a case of he was too busy with everything else and couldn't get around to it or something.
Mhm.
But yeah, before we get to your questions, Matt, maybe we can turn the floor over to the class here. Uh, what was your what was your general impressions of Starman? Did you enjoy it? What kind of themes did you take away? Matt gave us the theme of government and the love story relationship. Um, Somebody want to kick us off here?
I,
I like
Why so, Jessica?
I like the I don't know if a lot of people know this, but if you've watched the Guardians of the Galaxy,
Hmm.
it's referenced that Starman is really the guy in it that's his father.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that it's supposed to be his father. And I can't remember if I'm 100% right or not because it's been so long since I watched the Guardians of the Galaxy. And I might be thinking of another movie that referenced it or something. But the woman supposedly after all this dies of cancer because of the Starman's like radioactive and they didn't know it. So the kid that they have orphaned or something like that. I'm pretty sure that was in Guardians of the Galaxy, like talking about something more. It might have been another movie I watched, but yeah, that the woman dies. She has the kid, raises the kid to it's like it's still a kid. It's not even a teenager yet. And then the kid dies. Not the kid. The woman dies, and the kid grows up to be the guy in Guardians in the Galaxy. I just thought how they tied all that together. I thought that was interesting. Like so there's kind of like a spin off to this, but not a spin off.
Yeah, I didn't put two and two together there, Jessica, but that makes sense. Um, Chris Pratt's character in that might be the kid in Starman. Madison, no, there was no discussion. I'm I'm done with those guys. We're not going to do any more of them. Okay, so good.
Okay, I was just
Yeah,
wondering. I was looking for it and I could not
yeah,
find it anywhere.
yeah. I'm done with those. I think we've done them enough. So Yeah, just come. I trust all of you guys at this point to come to class ready to talk about the films. So,
I mean,
yeah,
I thought it was interesting because like if you could like say like her husband died early, you know what I mean? Like her husband died. Like if an alien like comes in your house and looks exactly like your significant other, how do you how do you respond to that?
right. Yeah, she handled it in stride. It seemed like, right? It's all considered.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I really like the movie. I'm upset there's not a second movie. I searched and searched. I wish they made a sequel because I don't like that cliffhanger. I don't like that. But I think going off, I think it was Jules that said that how it would be very weird. It kind of gave me like a Beauty and the Beast kind of moment. It's like maybe she had Stockholm syndrome because where she was so terrified at the beginning and slowly just, you know how your brain just goes in like fight or flight and it slowly transitions to like make your survival last longer. That's what I was originally thinking, but now I'm not so sure. But it kind of would make sense that she gained Stockholm syndrome because she was held captive towards the beginning and her feelings slowly changed as more danger she was put into.
Right. It seemed like the turning moment for her was when he brought the deer back to life. Yeah, maybe she saw like his more gentle side there.
When she got shot, when the cop shot her, I was like, don't let this be the end. Come on. Like, don't let her die this early in the movie. Like, come on.
I personally didn't get to watch this movie because I wasn't paying attention and I watched The Haunting. So I have no clue what y'all are talking about, really.
I didn't really like the movie, and I like John Carpenter. I love Halloween. Is actually one of my favorite movies. I thought it was just odd from the start with like the him in the floor, like turning into a man. It was just very odd. I couldn't get into it at all. The ending, I did like that he got to go back to his planet or whatever. I kind of wish that she would have got to go with him. But for me, I just wasn't a fan of the movie.
This was my first time watching it, and I kind of liked it. I ended up watching this before I did The Matrix because we thought we were supposed to watch this one. And so after the crazy movie watched before that, yeah, I kind of like this one way better. But it was my first time watching it. I thought it was pretty cool. The only creepy part was him being born from an alien from a child to a man, and I was like, oh my god, that's just creepy. I don't see how she wanted to be with him. That creeped me out pretty bad.
He was the ugliest baby I've ever seen.
Yeah, this is my first time watching the movie. It was a strange movie, but I did very enjoy it a lot. I've enjoyed Starman's character a lot. Just this alien just coming from space and trying to figure out everything about the world. But it was very bizarre, but I did enjoy it quite a bit.
I liked it too. I hadn't seen it before. I thought it was funny every time he would repeat something he heard one of the humans say. Just made me laugh.
I agree. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, one of my favorite bits is after when he's in the bathroom, he says, "Crap, what was the good gesture? I already forgot." He did the gesture. He said,
The
"Good,"
middle
and then
finger.
no, not the bad one, the good one. He said, "Up yours, bad." But what was the one he said before?
I can't remember what he said, but he put his like thumb up. It made me laugh.
He said something good. Up yours, bad.
Yeah, it was my first time watching it. I enjoyed it. At the very beginning, I thought, oh gosh, when the part that he turned into like a baby and he kind of like, that part, I didn't care for that part. I thought that part was kind of creepy, but throughout the movie, I did really enjoy it. I liked how, I liked the part where he was riding with that guy, the cook from, and he was trying to like mimic his like real country accent. I liked that part. Like when he mentioned about like an arm and a leg, like it cost an arm and a leg or something. I did like that part. I liked the fact that like she wasn't able to have a baby with her husband, and I really liked that part where he told her that he gave her a baby. Like I don't know, like I really like that part. But overall I really liked it. I thought the beginning of it was kind of weird, but towards the end I enjoyed it.
Did any of you guys notice with that? There seemed to be almost like that part couldn't help but remind me of like Christianity, right? It seems like the baby is going to be this Messiah like figure. I don't know if you guys got that as a theme here, but yeah, my mind automatically clicked to it as I was watching it.
When for just a second, it kind of clicked to that for me, for just a second. And then, but at the very end of the movie, I kind of wanted to like see, I guess, like more of an ending, like instead of it just ending like that and you kind of having to, create in your mind, her with the baby or her, like, because he said it was going to be a boy. And I kind of was thinking that it would maybe go to like, how some movies like will be like, so many years later, and then it'll show like, something. I thought that it would maybe do that. So I was kind of hoping for something just like a little bit more to kind of show like what it would go to. But for a second, that was what, like I did kind of think that for a second.
I agree with you, Stacy. That's once again, I will say this, I will say it again. There should have been a sequel, and you were wrong for it. It was supposed to have a sequel in 2016, but it got like canceled really early on its production. Read that, and I was like, wow, I want to see the baby. I want to see him teach because he was supposed to be a teacher and everything else. I was so excited that I got left with like just a very basic ending. Like, it had so much potential, so much.
I know, because he said like he was talking about, I think he said what did he say? He would look like or he was talking about like a little bit of him, and I don't know, but then he also mentioned like he let, what was it, like the little silver like marble thing. So, but I was really hoping for like where it would show, even if it just showed like kind of a glimpse, like more for an ending. I was really hoping for more.
I just don't get how she was like so okay, like I gave you a baby, but like I'd be freaking out because the government's after him, and she was with the government, knows that she was with him, and she's now having this baby. They're gonna put two to two together and try to come for that baby. That's what would be going through my mind if I was for like, if I keep this baby, as soon as this baby's born, the government's gonna know it's part alien and want to experiment on it. I don't know. I would have been more flipping out than what she was. She was just like accepted it. It was just like, oh, a baby. And even though the doctor said I couldn't have one, yay. Just no, like I don't know. I think there should have been more, I don't know, emotion with that.
I got a good thought about that area. If he can't survive on her land for long and she can't survive on his long, how's the baby supposed to survive between? I don't get that part. That's why I wanted a part 2 for, I could not figure out how's that baby going to survive if he couldn't survive. He couldn't survive on her land and she can't survive on his. So that didn't make sense to me.
He said the baby was going to be born human, but I guess he would have like some part of the dad in it. So I guess it would still have the human features to make it able to survive on Earth.
Right. Yeah, that again is why it kind of reminded me of like Christianity, because the baby would be human, but at the same time something else.
I was thinking it like they showed the straps. I wasn't thinking of him getting dissected. I was thinking of her because now she's got this baby, and I was like, "Is she gonna get? Are they gonna dissect this woman? Like, cause he put something in her?"
I wonder if the government ever found out that she was pregnant with the baby.
Yeah, I couldn't help but think the same thoughts as Jessica at the end. Like, the government's clearly going to probably take her into custody. So, to answer your question there, Jaden, I would think so, that the government would know about this baby. It's a bit of a cynical way to read the ending of it, but you can't help but think so.
This is going to sound a little silly, but did the planet look like Saturn a lot to anyone else? Is it because the rings and stuff? Like, when I first saw it, it's like, okay, he's from Saturn, but I don't think he was.
Yes, that was the first thing that popped in my mind also.
I thought that was just supposed to be like the spacecraft that just happened to look like a planet or something.
You're talking about the Voyager.
Was it snowing, or was it just stuff coming down, or what was that? When they were under that planet thingy.
I have no idea, but I would have took a shower if I was the girl afterwards. I don't want to figure out.
I thought it was snow, but now thinking back on it, why would it have been snow though in Arizona? So I honestly don't know what it was, but I was with you. I was thinking it was snow.
You guys kind of lost me. What are you talking about, the beginning or the end?
The end, when the ship comes down that looks like Saturn, when the light beams on them, like these white particles fall down around them and on them, it looks like snow.
And how the ship looked like a planet.
Yeah, it did kind of look like a planet. It did kind of look like a planet now that you guys say it.
It looked like Saturn. And I was like so confused why Saturn was like coming down to Arizona.
Doesn't Neptune have rings too? Or is that just Saturn and Jupiter? I think Neptune.
Plot twist, it's Pluto. Pluto came back.
Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. Pluto's a planet, damn it. Right. I don't care what anybody says.
It was still a planet in 84, so it could have been Pluto.
Yeah, this is a hot button topic that I will die on a hill for. Pluto's a planet. Maybe we can get to Matt's questions now. He's got some good questions for us. His first question here centers on the theme of the government. And they send out these beacons like, please come to Earth. And then as soon as they do, right, the Department of Defense goes nuts and shoots it down and all that. So why does the movie center on the U.S. government and all this stuff?
Because he was over U.S. airfields. Like, if foreign country came over here just to investigate it, then we would be fighting with the foreign countries over whose right it was to investigate it, because it was all L zone that it was in. So that's why I think that, no other foreign countries, and the US, they're just gun happy anyway. It's, especially in movies. So that's why I think they shot it down, even though they invited them here, that they keep forgetting they invite and they're still being hostile. That's why I think they, they're gun happy, and it was all L zone.
How would the movie be different? Like, let's say if they said it in England instead. Do you guys think like the British government would have reacted as hostily as the United States government did in this film?
I don't think so, because the United States is known for like the sleeping giant, essentially. They're like very shoot first, ask questions later, whereas England will probably been like, okay, let's settle down. Let's think about this rationally. Let's not go guns blazing here. I also really, this is one hill I would die on, like Antarctica, how all the countries just like have a neutral agreement. That's where they keep the aliens and all that type of stuff. It's one hill I will die on. And I think the reason why we kept it in the U.S. government is just because we're so, I'm trying to find the best word for it. We're so paranoid. We're always thinking that something's out to get us. I think that's the reason why they originally thought it was the Soviets sending, using something to like get to us. We're always so paranoid, and I just thought that the director just wanted to play off that, which that's the reason why I think it's perfect for the United States, because we are such a paranoid, like up in arms type of people. And I don't think it'll ever work out any other place, just because more people are like more rational thinking.
Yeah,
I think there's
go ahead, Jessica.
I think there's few countries you do not land in if you're alien. United States, Russia, Korea, especially North Korea, and China. I would avoid, like in the Middle East. I would avoid those countries. Go for Sweden, Australia, Europe. Pretty much anything in Europe is free, and parts of Africa, because they don't really have as much like like to shoot stuff down. Yeah, you want to avoid like the Russia and stuff. I don't know how to tell the aliens this, but that's who they should avoid.
Yeah, imagine being an alien and the first leader you encounter is Vladimir Putin. Right. So yeah, Jaden, I think you said that well. There's definitely like this Cold War commentary going on in the film. Of course, in the 80s, this was the height of all that stuff, right? So this was when we were really going crazy, arming ourselves with nuclear weapons, and this was the decade where the Soviet Union fell. So of course, earlier in the class we watched Rocky, right? But Rocky IV is a famous anti-Soviet movie. So yeah, it was, the government was very of course the Star Wars program started in this time. Like, no, I'm not talking about the movie. The government actually instigated a defense program called Star Wars, where in case we had to fight war in space. So yeah, I think he stated all that well, Jaden, from a historical point of view.
When you said Star Wars, I thought about Ghost, the horse from Space Force that Donald Trump that made the Space Force.
Right.
That one of their first members was a horse named Ghost, and that makes my day every single time.
I haven't watched the Space Force Netflix show yet, and I need to. Yeah, I think you guys all handled that question well. It's hard to argue that even today, um, if this movie was set in today's setting instead of the 80s, I'm not sure much would change in that regard. Um, Especially now that a lot of these tensions are heating back up, right, between the United States and Russia and things like that now. Um, what do you guys think about, before we get back to Matt's questions, what did you guys think about the romance in the movie? I think was it you earlier, Jaden, who said the Stockholm syndrome? Somebody said that.
That was me.
Yeah. Did you guys buy the romance in the movie? Do you think that she might have fell in love because he did take his form, her dead husband's form? Um, do you think that she fell in love when she saw him bring that deer back? Um, what did you guys think of the love story? This is the love story angle here.
I think she fell in love with the idea of him, especially since it looked like her husband. She just recently lost the love of her life. And there were some parts of him that were a lot like because he was mimicking him. So I think she fell in love with the idea of him and what could have happened if her husband was still alive. And I think it did help with that caring naturing of the saving the deer. I think it just helped her grieve her loss. Just kind of like, okay, maybe it's okay if I move on, but with a similar person of who I originally fell in love with, since he looked alike.
Aline, you said you agree. You want to elaborate?
She said it pretty well, I guess. It just made her more emotional toward him because it looked like her husband, I felt. And I thought it was pretty good about the situation of it. So if it hadn't looked like her husband, I think it would have terrified her way more.
I agree. I think she was just kind of, I guess maybe just kind of starstruck from like once she got over the initial shock of like his appearance. I think it was a matter of just him being there, even though she knew that like him talking was different and the way that he acted and things like that. But the overall look of him, I think it was easier for her to to fall for him because of that.
That's how I thought about it too. Like she was grieving still, and she kind of attached it to this person, and she fell in love with him, and he looked like him, and so she was just really attached to him.
Right. Then maybe that keeps her around, right? But then all these little things that we've been talking about sort of endeared him to her, perhaps. Yeah, I personally bought the love story here. I thought it was an interesting one. It's still better than Twilight. Am I right? So yeah, that's always the joke. Still better than Twilight.
Any romance story is better than Twilight.
What about question 2 of Matt's questions? Mark goes out of his way to ensure that Starman isn't captured. He believe he made this decision based on emotional or professional circumstances. Aline, you know you're not going to get away with typing in the chat box. Explain for us.
Well, I hate interrupting, and I'm always bad about interrupting everybody. So that's why I've been typing. But I think it was emotional because he felt bad for him and wanted him to be able to live. And I don't think that he felt that he'd done anything wrong to harm anybody in order to cut him up and do all this stuff to him and see what he's all about. So I think it was cool that he had it in motion. I think it was about emotional because he's like, oh, he's dying, so I bet.
I think it was personally a mixture of both, because the entirety of his work was to find out about the alien, what he wanted. But after seeing him, he's like trying to preserve his work, but also gave emotional reasoning behind it, because like he is dying, might as well save him. Also keeping what I believe in true. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that this was an interesting character too. It's interesting too how this character's threatened by the government. Like, oh, it's either my way or the highway, right? You either obey orders or we'll send you back to wherever you came from. Where did they say they found him? Cornell or something like that?
Yeah, they found him in Cornell.
Yeah. I'm like, I was joking with my wife. We were watching this. I'm like, oh, I would happily go back to Cornell, right? So, yeah, that's not such a bad threat, right?
His character reminded me of, I don't know if you ever watched King of the Hill, but Dale. Like Rusty Shackelford. But he was less paranoid, but I feel like that would be him if he was ever actually working for the government and was more educated. He would definitely do the same thing. He would never like try to kill it. He'd be like, okay, at least I know they're real now, and let's get it away from here.
For me, when he said Cornell, I automatically thought about Andy on The Office, because he's all about Cornell. So that was the first thing I thought about.
Me too. As soon as I heard Cornell, that's what I thought about too.
It's Andy and Rusty Shackelford in one person. That's it.
Yeah, that's his whole character on The Office, right? The fact he went to Cornell.
That's what I thought about too, because I'm a big Office fan. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, Andy.
I like Matt's third question. Starman describes his home planet as being highly technologically advanced without the problems that we people on Earth have. Humans seem to immediately assume that aliens are more technologically advanced than we are. What do you think about the assumption? So, to kind of unpack Matt's question here, like we kind of get the sense that Starman's home planet is this sort of like utopian place, right? Where there's no wars or conflicts. Everybody seems to be in harmony. And however, Starman points out different things about humanity that he finds interesting, right? Like he really enjoys music, for instance. He seems to enjoy the emotions of humanity. So it seems like even though he lives on this like utopian society, alien society, it seems like he still finds aspects of our humanity endearing, right? So, what do you guys think about this? Why are aliens always a step above humanity? Um,
Um, I compared like when I read this question, I kind of compared it to the new American Horror Story, how they in the American Horror Story they kind of the aliens give the technology to the US to kind of get ahead. So like the other like Russia and stuff don't want them. So when I thought of this, like they're kind of ahead because they're not on Earth. They can just observe Earth and see what they're doing and be like one step ahead, kind of, if that makes any sense.
I honestly couldn't think of how to answer that question, but you just pretty much nailed it.
Shay nailed it for you.
Yeah, she really, yeah, I could not explain how to say it, but she said it very well.
My thought process with like how advanced everyone is, the more advanced you get, the less humanity you have. Like if you're so focused on getting ahead and being more tech, like having everyone the same, it's when you lose character. That's what makes us like not a superior race because we're far from it, but that's what makes us human. If we didn't have our differences, if we didn't have our wars and stuff, how would we grow together? When that advanced society, they like he said, he enjoyed the music, he enjoyed the difference. Once you get so far and advanced, you lose all the things that make you you. It's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, it's almost like you become like a beehive, right? Um, where there's no individuals, it's just the hive.
I agree with what she said. That's what I was like getting ready to say. I was thinking the exact same thing. Like once you get more, like, to advance in technology, you have to lose that, those feelings, those emotions and stuff like that, because a lot of people, scientists and stuff, emotions hold you back, So the less empathy, the less, sympathy and stuff like that they have, the farther along they can go. Also, to touch on another part of that, that the alien beings seem to always be advanced to us. Well, that's because the alien beings in movies that seem to come to Earth, they have to be more advanced, because if we could go to other planets and see other aliens, we'd be the same. So they have to be. So that doesn't mean there's other planets out there that's just as advanced as us or less advanced than us. Only reason we don't know about them in these movies is because they don't have the technology to come to us yet, and we don't have the technology to come to them. So just because that's why it seems like all the aliens in movies seem so far ahead of us, is because they're the ones coming to us and we're not going out, because there may be other places that we just don't know about that's not as advanced as us, or right the same ability as us, just hasn't got the traveling like these other places. That's why I think in movies they're always so advanced. That makes sense.
Just add on what Jessica said. I feel like the alien planets are a lot more sophisticated because they've been there longer. Earth is just starting out, and because if you think about what Starman said, he's like, yes, we have been here before. Clearly, that shows that they have been here longer than us, so they had more time to grow in technology and stuff. I feel like at one point they were us. We were the primal state of them. As they grew less like us, they became more advanced and lost what I said earlier, basically.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that too. Like they also don't have like no conflict really, so they have time to work on the technology and stuff like that. How I thought about it too. Totally agree.
Yeah, with no war, right? You can force society's gold and wealth on these other advances. I think about with all of like the United States' resources, like how much if we pumped half of our defense budget into other things, I think about how much that we would be able to accomplish. However, we have to have a big defense budget, right? Because of all the, if nothing else, what's happening with Ukraine right now proves that. But think about if we didn't have to, right? What we could accomplish with all of our wealth. Aline says, I wish we had the power to heal people like he healed her gun wound and helped her have a baby. Yeah, that's why I said, Aline, that he kind of, again, I bring up that religion angle, right? He kind of seemed almost godlike here with his powers.
I was mostly trying to be funny, but
Right.
I guess you thought of it a different way.
Your comment gave me Jesus vibes, like, you know, Jesus could heal the sick. Jesus could, walk, from water into wine, which I know he didn't do that in the movie, but like, he can do stuff beyond like the normal, so I get what you're saying with that, the religious aspect vibes that it's giving.
Yeah, this is 2 movies in a row that has just like Messiah like theme, right? That's because The Matrix had it as well with Neo. It's a pretty common motif in sci-fi. If you guys watch a lot of or read a lot of sci-fi, that's usually a pretty common motif. This is probably the most fun I've had teaching sci-fi. It's not a genre that I'm super up on. So yeah, I feel like we've had some good conversations about the 3 movies we've done. Usually whenever I teach sci-fi, I stay away from the big franchises like Star Wars and Star Trek, just because I don't want to assume that you have knowledge of these franchises, sort of like the problem we had when we covered Logan a few weeks ago with X-Men, right? I normally try to stay away from big franchises.
I have a question. Have you ever taught Ghostbusters? So I feel like that'd be a fun movie to like discuss.
No, I never have. Maybe I need to put it on my list for next fall. It would be one I'd love to teach. I just never thought to put it on my list before.
Egon's character would be the perfect character to analyze. I'm just saying. He's my favorite, always has been. I love that man more than life itself.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch the most recent Ghostbuster, but I haven't got around to it yet.
Have you ever put animated movies in your list of movies, like as a genre?
I usually don't. It's probably something that I should, like movies like Avatar or maybe like a Studio Ghibli movie or something like that would probably be good. I mostly don't, just because I don't watch a lot of animated movies other than like superhero movies. So it's mostly a genre I'm kind of weak on. Just like musicals, I'm not too up on those either. So, I'll be interested to talk about the two we're going to do in a couple of weeks, because it's rare that I teach musicals, much to Alleen's dismay. Right, so yeah, Alleen, you're not the musical fan, as we've discussed.
Well, when you're in the middle of a movie and they do all of a sudden a number of singing and dancing, it gets on your nerves. You're like, get to the movie, quit, stop playing the music, you annoy me.
I don't watch. I picked a musical on accident. It's funny kind of, but that's mine. I'm doing the Les Miserables.
Are you?
And I didn't know it was a musical when I picked it because the go on it on the thing, it looks like a horror movie, and you know how horror is right above it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking Les Miserables, and I was thinking, oh, that's miserable. That little girl is like, because I pictured it in my head because I've heard the name before and I've seen the title before, and I was like, oh, that's going to be a horror movie, and I've not watched it and I've heard things about it, so I'm going to pick that. And then I ended up picking it, and then I found out it's a musical. So it's totally different than what I was expecting, but I think it's going to be a fun difference. So
yeah, definitely not a horror movie. It's got some ghastly stuff in it, I guess you could say. So, very good, very good. Matt, you can go ahead and close that out if you want. You did a very nice job.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, the presentations have gotten better the further the class has gone on, I think. So definitely keep up with the good examples that we've had.
Did you ever get to check out mine that I sent you about Fargo?
Not yet, Allie. I'm going to. I've been mostly trying to catch up on my grading as of late. Just a few announcements before we depart for the day. I guess I will go back to doing some discussion posts for the next few movies. I've already written questions out. Reason why we haven't mostly the past few classes, these are movies I haven't taught before, so I just didn't have time to prepare questions way ahead of time. But these next few movies I'm very familiar with, so I'll try to get you some questions up for during our horror unit. So other than that, Thursday as well, I'm going to try to go over the second paper prompt. So I'm going to try to spend a few minutes on that on Thursday as well. I'm also working right now on grading your first papers. So my hope is to maybe get that back to you by the end of the week, maybe the weekend. So I'm getting ready to actually start working through those now. I had a couple of other stacks I had to burn through before I could get to you guys. So my hope is I get those back to you soon. Of course, presentation grades, I've been sending those back, so I have caught up with those. And other than that, just remember that for Thursday we are watching The Haunting, and make sure that you watch the 1963 version, not the 1999 version. Okay,
I had a hard time finding that one. Who knows where that one is, The Haunting, without having to pay for it if possible.
I don't know if it's on an app, Alleen. I think I bought it, Alleen, on Amazon. I might just I might just let you use my account or something if it'll help.
Since I watched that movie, I looked for it on everything, and the only thing I found it on, I rented it off YouTube.
Yeah, I looked before class on Amazon. You can rent it for $2 or buy it for like $3. So
The reason why I said without having to pay for it is because my husband's card got hacked over renting movies, and he said, I'm done. And I was like, yeah, I don't blame you. But we got hacked. So, yeah, it was horrible.
right.
I see that there's 2 movies called The Haunting. Which one are we supposed to watch?
The 1963, not the 1999.
Okay, I was making sure. So the 99 one was pretty poorly rated. I was like, I doubt this is the one that he wanted to watch. And then I looked up, oh yeah, it's 1963. It's got way better ratings.
Yeah, the 1999 version's really bad and cheesy. It's fun if you're expecting a bad and cheesy movie, but it's definitely not a classic. So if you guys know the story, The Haunting of Hill House, or maybe you watched the Netflix show, that's what The Haunting is. It's an adaptation of Shirley Jackson's novel, The Haunting of Hill House. So great ghost story. So as you guys watch it, you'll be think of questions like, was there really a ghost, right? Or was this a figment of the main character's imagination? So it's one of those type of stories that leaves it up for your interpretation. So we should have plenty to discuss. I guess the movies I picked for this semester, Haunting, Hereditary, and Us, all of those have a more supernatural element to them. So
I cannot find Us on anything.
Again, Allie, that's probably one you could rent because it's a very recent movie.
But I was shocked that it's just not out because it is a recent movie. I was like, man, why ain't already playing on something already? Because it is more recent.
Yeah, these streaming services, they're all complicated. These movie companies will lease the rights to put them on there, and some movie companies are stingy about that.
It's
And
on Hulu.
also,
It's on Hulu with a premium subscription, but
Yep.
What Us is, or
Yeah.
Haunting?
The Us.
okay, I have Hulu.
Well, I don't know if it's a premium. Do you have the premium subscription? I think it's like the highest one.
I'm not sure. I gotta double check that. Also on Alien, I guess it is free on channel. Let me see.
We're not watching Alien.
FX.
Yeah, we're not watching Alien, Aline. That was one I cut since we had to lose that.
Oh, well, thanks a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't watch it yet.
Yeah, that I had to cut that one because we were because of that week of class we had to lose whenever I did that play. It said I just typed Us into Hulu, and you have to have the live TV. You have to have the TV cable service to watch it on there. If you guys have like a TV cable service, you should be able to watch it through FX based on what I just saw. But Hereditary is usually pretty available for streaming. I don't know if it's on anything at the moment, but you guys shouldn't have trouble finding that one.
It is TMC, Turner Classic Movies, I think.
I think Hereditary's on Hulu. I have to double check. Last time I checked, it was on there though.
It says it's on Showtime. If you have Hulu, you can get a Showtime like week long trial or something and watch it for free that way.
Titanic did me dirty. I chose Titanic for my paper, and I needed to rewatch it, and I got Showtime to watch it. Well, when I went to go watch it on Showtime, it had not been on Showtime no more. I just watched it when we watched it, and they took it off. So then I went to go see if it was on anything else for free. Well, I found Amazon Prime. Well, it said it would be on Amazon Prime in 7 days. So I couldn't wait 7 days. So I ended up having to pay for it. But I couldn't wait the 7 days because I had to turn the paper. And I was like, so it leaves Showtime to go to Amazon Prime for free, but it has to do it right in the middle of me needing it.
Right. That's how these movie companies work. It's yeah, especially since a lot of these movie companies like Netflix have gone more towards their original programming. You don't see them leasing as many movies now. So it's a crap show about whether or not these things are on any of these services. So yeah, just remember the 1963, not the 99. If you watch the 99 version, you're gonna be asking, what the hell did he make me watch? Okay, so the 63 version. This will actually be interesting because we're gonna watch West Side Story here in a few weeks. And the same guy who directed The Haunting directed West Side Story. So talk about two different types of films. So we'll actually get two films made by Robert Wise. So any other class business, guys, before we depart? Any other questions or anything? Okay, then. So again, I'm catching up on you guys now. So you can expect those papers back soon. And other than that, we will talk about The Haunting on Thursday. So we'll see you guys then.